Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video where today we will be laughing at other people's mistakes in the beautiful Today I Effed Up subreddit, where our first story is submitted by user/itspeterj. And I love the name of this one. Today I effed up by almost committing a war crime. Obligatory, this didn't happen today, this was about 10 years ago. I started doing stand-up when I was in the army. In Afghanistan, actually. I started telling stories around the fire at night, but eventually started doing shows in the chow hall or during talent shows if we were on a bigger base at the time. It wasn't uncommon for me to do so badly that I lost people during these shows. I even had a platoon opt to go on patrol early rather than watch my whole set. I was less fun than possibly dying. I wanted to get better, so I ordered a book and started working on trying to improve crowd work, talking to the audience, and being more physical. I figured if I could make the interpreters laugh with the language barrier, I'd be on my way to being a better comic. During our next patrol, we detained several suspected Taliban fighters. We needed to keep them on our base until they could get picked up by intel people, so we needed to watch them for 2 days. I thought the idea of a literal captive audience was too good to pass up and basically tried to do the crowd work and run bits by them in an incredibly animated manner. Imagine Sebastian Maniscalco, but 2 months into comedy. I volunteered for as many guard duty shifts as I could. I'd try jokes, I'd ask for their names and where they were from, jobs, etc. Anything I could try to make a joke about. Never a single laugh. Eventually, they got picked up, and apparently one complained about my jokes specifically. I ended up getting a stern talking to for unconventional interrogation, because I kept asking where they were from and what they did, and had to explain that I was so bored and desperate to get better at comedy that I almost inadvertently committed a war crime. My first rule of comedy is that you always need to be aware of your audience and who you make jokes about. But at the same time, I also ignore that rule pretty much all the time. So, my girlfriend comes over most weekends and stays Friday to Sunday. But with Thanksgiving and travel happening, she ended up coming back Sunday and stayed last night. We both get back and things are great, just another night watching some TV. It starts getting a bit late, so we go upstairs and put our PJs on before we resume watching TV. I went to the bathroom while she started changing, so she was already in PJs when I got out. So I walk up behind her and playfully grab her sides, and she turns around quick, laughs and jukes me to hurry out the door. As she hurries for the door, I give chase, which apparently she did not expect. As she exits the room, she pulls the door, as is customary at my house, expecting me to stay and change. I was chasing her pretty quick and had zero chance of changing course and realized what was happening just as my face collided with the skinny side of the door. When I came about, she was cradling my head crying because apparently I had knocked myself out cold on the door for a solid 15 seconds. Now I have a massive black eye and a very noticeable and large swollen line down my face. I wasn't actually able to open my eye until a few minutes ago, so I called out of work today to avoid my co-workers seeing my black and blue face. And for anyone concerned, Opie adds that he did go see a doctor and there is no damage other than a completely scrambled face. Our next story is submitted by user/Darko Enterprises. So, this happened about 6 years ago, but a little piece of me died that day and I cringe every time I think about it. So here it goes. So I, 27 male, work construction. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, but the trade is inherently very macho and homophobic. Important later. So anyways, I had been looking for work for about half a year and finally landed a job with a local contractor. We seemed to get along fairly well, so I was looking forward to working for him. Well, me being fresh out of trade school, I was naive and had a toolbox chock full of gimmicky tools and apparatus that were supposed to make my life easier, but any veteran tradesman would know is absolutely useless trash. One such example, my tool belt had new and improved hammer loops, which was a partial loop with two little spring-loaded arms. They look like pinball paddles, so you could just slap the hammer into the loop instead of sliding it in from the top. So amazing. I show up for my first day decked out in my future age carpentry gadgets and about 20 pounds of clothes because it was the dead of winter. After exchanging pleasantries with my new crew, I was shown where I'd be working. 30 feet up on a narrow scaffold plank with my new boss. No biggie. So him and I scale the scaffold and begin working. At some point, my boss needs to get to the other side of me, so I scoot to the edge of a plank and he starts sliding behind me. The front of his belt promptly gets lodged into my hammer holder. Like I said, we were wearing lots of clothes, so it took a minute to see why we were stuck balls to bum, and we embarrassingly chuckled before trying to free ourselves. My hammer was in the loop already, so with his part of the belt in there as well, there wasn't enough room for the little arms to fold back and release me from my nightmare. For about 15 minutes, we shared that intimate moment on that scaffold, before another co-worker came around the corner. After asking what the F we were doing, he proceeded to take a wedding's worth of pictures of us while laughing hysterically. I had had enough. I took my pliers and ripped off the arms on the hammer holder. Free at last, we worked the rest of the day in silence. I promptly went home and threw my belt into the wood boiler. If you ever want to break the ice with a new employer, just force them to spoon you on your first day. Not gonna lie, having read the title, I thought this story was gonna go a slightly different direction, but hey, if it works, and 15 minutes is a long time to spend pressed up against your boss. Our next story was submitted by user/bootsalter. I'm a college student with a really rigorous academic schedule. My entire academic career, I've always eaten sunflower seeds while studying. I'm not sure why, I think it just keeps me focused. I'd build up quite the tolerance to the seeds too. Oftentimes, I'd down 5 or 6 bags while grinding for hours studying for finals. Every time though, I'd spat out the shells as they accumulated in my mouth. For some reason, I swallowed the seeds whole this particular time. I didn't really think much of it, just a mindless activity. 2 days later, I woke up for class and could tell I had to remove my bowels. I sat down on the toilet and initially thought I just had severe constipation. Nothing seemed abnormal until I started trying to push harder. I felt a razor-sharp pain in my butthole that wouldn't go away. I grabbed some toilet paper and reached down. I realize that I'm not feeling feces inside of me. Rather, it's a mass of sunflower seed shells, undigested and unchewed. I stayed on the toilet for another 2.5 hours. A liquid combination of blood and feces made its way through the mass and dripped down my leg. So now I'm sitting here, in gruesome pain, smell terrible, and can't move. I have one of my buddies take me to the hospital. They ran me through a CT scan and showed me a 6 by 4 centimeter mass in my colon. Alright, they're gonna try and manually disimpact it and send me home. They give me a whole bunch of laxatives and the nurse is planning on shoving her finger up my rectum and pulling out the broken up chunk of sunflower seeds. The laxatives couldn't break up the shells. The nurse shoves her finger up there and I feel the shells push against the inside of my butthole. I quite literally felt like I was being cut open from the inside and she couldn't remove any pieces of the mass. Next step, a colonoscopy. They plan on using the tools from the colonoscopy to scoop out the mass. They're going to keep me for 2 nights and have me drink Go Lightly, which clears your bowels pre-operation. Meanwhile, this mass's lack of movement has made it nearly impossible to walk for even a few steps. I can't sleep and I'm constantly drinking this awful solvent. The day comes and they knock me out. I wake up post-operation and they let me know that the attempt was unsuccessful. Had they tried pulling the mass any further, they risked perforating the bowel, which would have sparked internal bleeding. Now they're thinking surgery. They kept me another 4 nights before the operation. I can't eat because I can't defecate. I can't sleep and I'm missing a week of class and internship interviews. After 8 days, they successfully removed the mass. They released me and told me that I'd be a few weeks before I'd be able to BM normally. I took stool softeners for about 3 weeks until I started feeling normal just a few days ago. The bill came in yesterday, 42 grand. But what's another 50k in debt to a college student? And I love the comment submitted by user/bgenuine. Well, they say you reap what you sow. You sowed sunflower seeds and the hospital certainly reaped you, physically and financially. Alright guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed these stories, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos every second day. Also, leave your own stories in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. But with that said, everyone, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.